My name is Monica Kretschmer. I'm the founder and CEO of the Universal Women's Network and Women of Inspiration Awards. This is the Women Driving Change panel, and we have an extraordinary panel of leaders today. Jenn Lofgren is the CEO and founder of Incito. Maria Pavkovic-Tovisi is the CEO of Make Me College. Teresa Spinelli, of course, president of the Italian Center Shop, and Carolyn Levy is President, Technologies and Chief Diversity Officer for Randstad Canada. So welcome, ladies. I am really in awe of all of you. I'm fangirling you each and your leadership. I know that I'm going to do a little plug here on the book. You're all one of the 100 Women of Inspiration, Women Driving Change. Of course, we're now a #1 bestseller, and the stories of your leadership collectively will break that brick ceiling. I am absolutely sure of it. So it's super exciting to have you all with us today on the panel. And I'll just like to start with a little bit of a roundtable. So if I can get you to introduce yourself to our guests today. Jenn, I'll have you start us off.
Thanks, Monica. And I want to start by just saying congratulations on the release of this highly anticipated book. And I'm so delighted to be a part of it. Congratulations again. And my name is Jenn Lofgren, and I founded Incito Executive and Leadership Development 13 years ago. And outside of our business, I'm also a community leader and serving on numerous boards in business, serving youth, the arts sector, and our community. And volunteering is a near and dear passion for me, as well as I'm a mom of a 13-year-old girl. And so I'm like so many other people listening to this call and juggling business, family, and also trying to put myself first and blowing it sometimes in all three areas and succeeding at other times in all three areas. So that's a little bit about me.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jenn. How about yourself, Carolyn?
Hi, I'm Carolyn Levy, and congrats again, Monica. Just to echo what Jenn had said, I'm so excited that a book like this is available for women, for men, for anyone who is looking for a little bit of inspiration, empowerment, or motivation. It's a really cool book to start. I'm reading through the stories too, so it's amazing. I am the president of Randstad Technologies, as well as our chief diversity officer at Randstad Canada. I grew up in the company. I'm an intrapreneur, not an entrepreneur, so not as brave and risky. I get to make mistakes and fail in the boundaries of my organization, but it's been incredible to be able to do that. I started, right in the field, and then over 15 years, took on 12 promotions to come up to where I am at. So it's been a wonderful journey. I'm a mom of 2. You can kind of see a little picture in the back. Bryn and Brooklyn are 8 and 4 now. And same as Jenn, I sit on a couple of boards to help inspire women and also to drive industry change within the staffing industry. But really pleased to be here. Really look forward to the dialogue, and thank you.
Awesome. Well, it's nice to actually meet you yesterday at the graphics truck in the official book launch in Calgary. Put a face to the name, actually have a hug, a COVID-safe hug, that is. But it's really great to have you part of the panel today. And Teresa, I'd love to have you share a little bit about your background with our listeners today.
Hi, everybody. I'm honored to be here with such a group of amazing women. I look forward to reading the stories. Everybody has an awesome, awesome story. And I think the more we share our stories, the more we empower women. So that's really, really exciting. So just really happy to be here.
Awesome. And Teresa, you have congratulations on your new store in Sherwood Park up in Edmonton. I am excited to do a master class there, drink some wine, break some cheese, and share some leadership stories. So congratulations on that milestone as well.
Thank you.
And Maria, a milestone for you too, I have to say. You just opened a great big space, so I'll let you share a little bit about that with our listeners today.
Sure, yeah. Maria Pavkovic-Tovisi, CEO of Make Me College. We own actually a group of companies, my brother and I. And yes, we just opened up a 137,000 square foot campus in the northeast of Calgary, which, a lot of people during COVID were kind of shutting down stores, and we took on the old Sears building in Marlborough Mall and renovated and retrofitted it into a new campus, and it's about the size of a football field, so it's a little bit of an incredible undertaking, as you can imagine, to take on these last 2 years, but we just had our grand opening a couple weeks ago.
Super, super cool. And I've got to say that I'm in awe of, I love the glass is overflowing. It's never half full. And I think this team of leaders, it's overflowing at every single level. So I love how you're all driving change in your industries. But where I want to start with was what, was the tip of the iceberg, was every woman does have a story. Right? And we want to inspire the leaders, but why is it so important for women to know their worth and how to negotiate and advocate for themselves, Jenn?
Monica, it's hard for me to say, but until a few years ago, I was afraid of people knowing my story, especially my childhood and my teenage story. And even going back to some of my early career, I spent time in the military as a mechanic, and I had an IT career. I didn't share a lot of that with people, and where I came from and how I became who I am today is who I've always been. And I thought that sharing my story meant that people would think less of me and that somehow they'd figure out that I didn't belong. Mm-hmm. And over time, I've learned that embracing our stories is essential to embracing who we are, all parts of us. And doing so gives us power to believe in our voice, and then we can advocate for ourselves because we see our value, and if we don't see our value in owning our whole story, then other people can't see it because they don't get to know who we truly are.
Well said. I do agree. I mean, everyone has a story. What I find so inspiring is that the stories and the paths that we've crossed, it's never a straight line. It's always a little bit of a windy road, and through each step we learn a lesson. And I think that's really important for to be reminded as we navigate our own paths, but also for the future leaders, is that it's okay to fail. Right? It's okay to fail. I mean, that's part of growth. So thank you so much, Jenn. What about yourself, Carolyn?
I want to relate that to a bit of imposter syndrome. I'm sure that's something that every woman has running in the back of their head, but this is something that women need to realize is it's not that it's imposter syndrome, it's being a woman. And what happens under conflict or duress is a lot of self-reflection. And, a lot of women will say, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? And it then drives anxiety, sleepless nights, like I have to change what I need to do, getting very overwhelmed. Because what are we used to doing? Taking on everything, right? It's the balance of raising children, trying to be leading in an organization, trying to take care of ourselves. And we often feel to that point that, I don't have enough self-worth to feel that I'm comfortable in this role. What if someone realizes that I don't have the right skills? So it's reminding women to ditch that. And listen, it took me a long time, coming into a lot of the organizations that I work with. I'm often the only woman at the table. In IT, we have a lot of stuff to do to get women into leadership. So I'm often sitting there helping organizations plan talent architecture to bring more women in. So when you think about, sitting there and that imposter thing running through your head, try to ditch it. Go to that concept that has become so important in business, and it's mindfulness, right? When you start to feel insecure about what you're doing, take a step back, breathe through it, and talk out loud. I am a woman. I am feeling vulnerable. This is a good skill to have. I have to let this go. What are the things that I'm worried about? Honestly, take 2 minutes, sit and talk yourself through why you're feeling it, then lean back in because you are worthy. You're in your position for a reason, or you've started your organization for a reason, and not everything is easy. So you might be in the low of the roller coaster ride. Just hang on because you're going to go back up. But when you drop back down there, remind yourself, be mindful, and pick yourself back up.
Amazing. And I know from our interview, Carolyn, that you had a couple moments within your career which were, kind of game-changing, where you were on mat leave and you were offered a role in the company.
Yeah, well, two of them actually. And, so many women have been afraid to talk about pregnancy. What am I going to miss? I'm not going to get the promotion if I have babies. I'm going to get stereotyped when I'm interviewed if I'm 30 and married and I don't have kids yet. Or am I single? Am I going to be responsible? Within Randstad Canada, my first executive position to become the president of our engineering division, of our engineering, wait a minute. Let me say this different. To move as an executive vice president across the country into my first executive position, I was on maternity leave, and I got a call from our president and had the discussion and was like, wow, okay, let's go for this. Moved across the country, went from Calgary to Oakville and started that opportunity. Then when I had my second child, I got another call and took over as the president of technologies for what I am. But again, I knew 6 months before I came back from maternity leave. So it's just a pretty cool story to say, it's just, we need people. We need humans for 2036, or we're not going to have enough people to sustain the economy. So don't be shy about the fact that you're pregnant.
Well, I love that, and I think it's great knowledge. We're talking to a bunch of women that are moms in the room, right? So we know how important it is right now for our youth. And of course, Maria, your daughter started her first day of school cutting the ribbon on your new building. How epic is that? So, why is it so important, Maria, for women to know their worth?
I think it's important to share some of the triumphs as well as some of the challenges. I think men and women do business very differently. Most of my colleagues that are men, they're totally fine with meeting with their competitors and saying, hey, I'm struggling with this, or we're really rocking this area. And they kind of collaborate on things. I think women, I call it the Facebook syndrome. We want everything to look perfect. And if it's not perfect behind the scenes, we're kind of beating ourselves up for it. I think it's important to understand that as an entrepreneur, whether you're a female or male entrepreneur, whether you're just starting or you're kind of experiencing some of the challenges with growth, that there's going to be times where you're having a really good day and times when you're having a really bad day. And all of that is okay. It's kind of a roller coaster ride. And so what I think is really important is to share those stories so that you can make sure that people can relate to what they're going through as normal, rather than, oh, I'm failing and look at this other person and their lifestyle, they're succeeding, but I'm not.
Beautiful. Be vulnerable, right? Because I think we can all relate to that. And I think that is one of the most important things is just keep it real. So Teresa, you've been in business for how many years, just rocking it out, family-owned business. Why is it so important for women to know their worth and to be comfortable telling their story about it?
Because you can't move forward if you're not really clear about who you are and what you want. If you want to get somewhere, you need to know where to go. You can't get on a plane and not know where you're going. If you want to go to Hawaii and you get a plane that's going to Israel, it's not going to work. So you really need to know where you're going. And in order to need to know where you're going, you really need to know who you are and why you want to go there. And knowing who you are helps you find why you want to go there.
And how would you say, Teresa, that has helped you build your multi-million-dollar business from a family-owned and taking the lead into asking for what you want and advocating for yourself?
Exactly that. I think that when I took over, I wasn't sure that I wanted to do that. So I did a lot of soul searching. I thought, am I doing this for my dad? Why do I want to do this? Why do I have all this stress? Where do I see myself in 5 years from now? And really did some soul searching, some praying, some meditating. And then when I had the answers to those questions, I could move forward. But until I had the answers to those questions, I couldn't do anything. I was stuck in blah.
So let me ask you, Jenn, how do we encourage more women to use that leadership voice and to ask for what they want?
I think one of the ways that we encourage women to use their voice is to give them a safe, supportive place to come back to. When we know that we have a supportive group around us to help us own our successes when it's hard to stand in the spotlight, but also to pick us up and also hold us accountable when we've blown it and made mistakes without judgment and just holding us true to our values. Having that safe place to go back to is the number one foundation. But I think the next is to have someone who's really pushing us to have that voice and to stretch us and ask us to step up and to open up doors, to give us opportunities and to push us through them whether we're comfortable or not, and to not take the I don't know, or I'm uncomfortable, or I don't know if I can do it, and to push us through anyways, because we all need a champion, we all need a supporter, we all need a sponsor. And if we're not able to do it for ourselves, we need somebody else to be that champion for us until we've grown and developed that competency within ourselves, so that we can then do it not only for ourselves, but to truly do it for other women after us.
Beautiful. And Carolyn, I know that this is something that is close to your heart as well. I mean, as an entrepreneur within your organization, you've had to pave that road. So how would you, what words would you share, or experience would you share for other women to ask for what they want?
Yeah, if you're either asking for what you want, it may not be into a leadership role, but of course, the idea here is that we do want to encourage women to go there who maybe haven't stepped there before. Mm-hmm. I want to start with saying the pandemic, as negative and terrible as it has been, it's busted some norms in the office. The fact of how many organizations went remote overnight, have started doing, their entire organization lifted. The concept of, the flexibility plans that organizations have, so you earn this right to work a flexible work week, or you can work from home a couple of days, you need to be in the office for a couple of days. That's all gone completely, to the side. So at Randstad Canada right now, almost all of our branches remain closed for a good year, and we have had one of the best years that we've ever seen in history. So a lot of women, and why I'm bringing that up is I can't do this because comes to their mind, right? Think about what happens when a woman reads a job description. It's statistically proven that if it says you need 10 years work experience and a woman has 8, you're like, oh, I don't qualify. Whereas a man might look at that and have 4 or 5 years and be like, I can do it, because they go focused in on the skills as opposed to that hard data about it, right? So 2 things I want to say there is look at the job description, remember the skills that you have, remember the human skills that you have around empathy, problem solving, critical thinking, then lean into the opportunity that's now available because of remote work. So if you have children and you have a busy schedule, start to think about work-life integration, not balance. I have never figured out balance. I don't know what it's like. Like at 5 o'clock, it's not like you can shut yourself down, walk out of your office and be like, oh, I'm fully present for my family now. That just doesn't work. But this new world is allowing us to integrate things. So take the kids to school, come back, do a couple of meetings, throw some laundry in, come back. Your kid's sick, run and pick them up. Like it's just a different way to work now. So this is the opportunity for women now to lean in and tell their organizations what they're looking for. To a point I made earlier, by 2036, we do not have enough people available in the workforce to sustain the economy. We have to figure out how to bring marginalized communities together and give them opportunities and make sure that they understand their access. So just lean in. And to the point that some of the ladies are making today, it's a community, right? If you don't, like Jen said, if you don't feel that you have enough courage to do it for yourself and take that first step, lean in with someone else that's going to do that for you. You have 100 options in a book, if you read it, to reach out where a woman's going to help you.
Beautifully. Well said. And I have to say that whole stop, go is the life of the entrepreneur. And you're experiencing that as an entrepreneur within your company. And I think that's what COVID gave the opportunity for everybody to sort of see that, wear different hats, be very flexible and nimble, right? So it's really interesting to see that. Maria, you have now this massive space where you've got to fill it. You've got to fill it with
right.
people that are going to grow your business. So how are you going to, share that experience that you've learned to ask for with your employees, but even for leaders that are listening today?
On how we're going to add to our team?
Yes, add to your team, but also be able to groom the leaders within your organization.
One of the things that we're always doing at Macquarie College is we're always hiring. We've been very blessed that this is our 20th year of business. We've been very blessed that every year over year we've actually continued to grow despite COVID and everything else. And so we're always hiring, and we've developed some pretty great in-house policies around recruitment, hiring, mentorship, and career development. Macquarie really truly believes that we are mentoring the next generation of leaders in preparation for the additional growth. Growth is one of our biggest values because we believe that what we do helps people succeed. And we want to grow so that we can reach and help more people. That's really at the core value system of who we are as a company. And so we've got a pretty solid HR team, a recruitment manager. We're always advertising in various social media forms. We have a great referral program. We hire a lot of friends and family from our existing employees. You'd be amazed at how many people know somebody looking for a job and are willing to vouch for them and have had some previous experience. And so we just have kind of like an ongoing onboarding system. We really look for a couple of traits when we're working for, when we're looking to hire somebody. We're looking for people that are very competent, but also very humble. That's part of the DNA of what kind of, the employees of Macquarie are. We want somebody who's caring and compassionate, can do the job well, but isn't arrogant. Is really humble, kind, and wants to help people genuinely. It's part of their why they're doing their job. So whether you're the janitor or the manager, we kind of want to know what your why is, and we ask that a lot in interview questions, like why are you here? Why do you want to do this job? What is your purpose? We're also very lucky that we have a very purpose-driven career at Macquarie for opportunities. You're really tangibly helping somebody get an education, and that education leads to job opportunities. Those job opportunities leads to financial security for themselves and their family. So it's not like selling a widget in some cases where you don't always see what happens to that at the end of the line. You can actually get to know these students, their families. You see them at orientation and, all the struggles that they've gotten through to get to that point. And then you see them at graduation and all the success that comes with that. And then even years down the line, they come back and they hire students from the programs that they themselves graduated if they've started their own business. So I think it's very purpose-driven in a career, and I think that's very appealing to a lot of people. So I think for those individuals that are trying to recruit great talent to your company, look for somebody who's competent, but look for somebody who's humble at the same time, who's kind, who's got some compassion. Find out why they're doing what they do, and then see what is their purpose? Like, do they know what their purpose in life is? Is that aligned with the job opportunity you have with them? Are you helping them achieve that? There's times where people are here with us for a reason, a season, or a lifetime kind of concept, right? And so we're really good as a company to help support people's dreams and visions, even if that means that they're only with us for 2 years and we can help them along their journey. We're really happy to do that. And if we can have them for a lifetime and figure out a way to help them fulfill their purpose in life, we're even more excited about that, and always look for opportunities to promote within and give people a chance. A perfect example was there was a teacher who really loved the idea of tutoring students that were struggling many years ago. And she actually asked, can I do this for free on the side? And we said, well, let's make an entire department that offers this to all the students for free. And now we have our SALT Strategic Academic Learning Team. It's a department of 30 people that gives free tutoring to all our students. And that was because one lady said, hey, can I do this? And it was her idea, right? And so we love those kinds of things and really try to foster that creativity within our team.
Beautiful. So to wrap that up, it's the culture that you're creating for people to ask for help, leading by example, which is really important within an organization to model that, in which it sounds like you did an amazing job of creating that culture. Teresa, so, how do you encourage women to step into leadership roles and, ask for what they want, use their voice within your organization or what you've learned?
I think I do a lot of the things that Maria already said. I think that the story she shared was really awesome. I'm really glad Maria's here because when I first met her, her story was amazing. I said, well, Maria, you got to get out there and tell your story. So I'm really, really happy to see her. And thank you, Monica, for giving us this platform. That's so great. Same, we had a cashier who was very shy and she didn't really like her job and she wouldn't look you in the eye. And I said, well, it's not going to work. She can't be a cashier if she can't smile and look at people in the eye. And then I asked her, what did she want to be? And she said she wanted to do something in HR. So we started her with just filing HR files and stuff. And now she leads a team of like 16 people. And that's really, and when I saw her, she's talking to this group of 16 people, I said, wow, I go like, who are you? Like totally a different human being, right? So I really take pride in giving them the opportunity to shine. I can't do anything to help them grow. They have to grow themselves, but really giving them the opportunity and giving them the possibilities to do what they want really makes them shine.
So would you say, Teresa, that is leading by example? Because they have to learn it somewhere. If you said that she was shy coming in, but again, like your situation, Maria, I mean, it's a culture that you're building within your own organization or as a leader themselves, where you're modeling that behavior, that it's okay to use your voice. It's okay to ask for you what you want. Would you agree?
Yeah, like Maria said, I think you have to ask people questions like, why are you here? Where do you still see yourself 5 years from now? In a perfect world, what would you want to do? And really help people get to where they want to be. I mean, my job is to make sure that I can help people reach their goals. To be $100 million company is my goal. It's not the cashier's goal, but I want to do whatever I want. Her goal is to buy a car. Her goal is to spend more time with her family or him, whatever it is. So giving them those opportunities is what makes them shine. And that's what we do here at the Italian Center Shop.
And I think it's probably pretty important that if you have an employee set to in that culture, right? This is my goal for the organization. You've got to, navigate, ask me for what you want, and I'll help you get there is really important, right? Not all the time do we have to say, this is what I think would be good for you. One, encourage that leadership within the organization. And I know that's one area of your expertise, Jen, as well, right? Is really being able to model that leadership and leading by example. So I really want to talk about support networks. And I think that's really important as well for women. When we look at women driving change within organizations, scaling and growing, is having that support network. And so that does include our allies, right? So how important is it that we have men and women working to sort of break that brick ceiling?
For me, it's been absolutely everything. Some of the most incredible mentors that I have had in my career, several careers, have been men that have been supportive and stepped up without me asking. But I cannot stress enough how important it is to use your own voice and ask for those allies to step up and help you, because they've even got their own story of whether or not they would really be helpful, or they'd be getting in your way, or if they're even enough. And so it's essential that you're allowing people, both men and women, to step in, but that you're also asking and allowing them to come in because you've asked. But I also think it's important to note that we have to be sensitive of the idea that it's a woman's turn to take on leadership. It's a woman's turn to be a business owner and an entrepreneur. And instead of competing with men, to instead develop allies for everyone to be stronger together. And this is where the idea of support her comes in. It's no one's turn, rather it's everyone's turn to have an equal opportunity to shine. And that being said, we also need women to support each other and take an abundance mindset rather than a scarcity mindset, to truly believe that lifting another woman up lifts us all up, and by helping both men and women see the benefits for us all and breaking the glass ceiling, will drive to that next level of meaningful change. And coming back to, are you asking for that support? And how are you letting that imposter syndrome get in the way, or that they wouldn't want to, and judging for the other person? You got to put your hand up and ask, because it's no if you don't ask. And often people are just waiting for you to ask and say, really, me? Really? You let me do that for you? Yeah. So let the opportunity happen.
And it looks like you have a little hand saying, ask me, right on your screen there.
Totally. Ask me. I also believe in mentorship. I mentor an MBA student every year. I also mentor a civilian mentor for a leader in the Canadian Air Force, paired with a female leader to give her an industry mentor. And you know what's happened on the other side is she's been an incredible mentor for me. I've learned so much from her. And I'm always one to offer mentorship, whether it's a coffee or longer term mentorship, because the more I pay it forward, the more good karma I build and more support comes to me in ways that I could not have anticipated.
Beautiful. And Carolyn, I know this is a big topic for you with the male allyship. I'm super excited. I really love how we're at this place right now. And I think, allyship, why is it so important for men to be included in the conversation to help champion for women?
Yeah, for sure. And, I have to give the shout out to my dad in this. He just pumped me full of confidence that didn't matter what I was facing. I was going to do whatever I wanted to in my life. I just had to keep going. If I fell down, he would pick me up, or he's like, just get back up. Doesn't matter what's going on. How many scrapes you have on your knees, just get back up. And I have been fortunate to meet men throughout my career that have done that with me, and that I have chosen to lean into that vulnerability, but show it at work, which then men were able to help me through the issues that I was having, or the problems that I was trying to solve. But what men need to do in this case isn't wait anymore, right? Like, we speak to this brick ceiling. There are so many men that we need to make them feel comfortable to reach out and say, I want to be a sponsor of yours, right? Being different than a mentor, be a sponsor. That means you're committed to helping that woman grow in their career and remove the boundaries that they might be facing. But a lot of men, after the Me Too movement, shied away. They were not having closed door meetings anymore. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to say something wrong. I don't want to be ridiculed by other men because I'm going and trying to help women out. So now we need to stop that, and men need to know they need to go there. So we're talking about the social network of things as well, but I really want to pull this into the business network, because there's three main messages that organizations need to see. They need to overall make women feel comfortable at the workspace, right? Or in wherever they're employed, that they will want to reach out and, ask for their next step. But where does it start in an organization? At the top. The entire C-suite or the entrepreneur, they need to believe in it and show through transparency and communication that ED&I is a real thing. That's equity, diversity, and inclusion. If that's set at the top, then you can drive accountability into the organization, embed the D&I strategy right into the business strategy. You see a little bit of a checkbox thing happening right now with some organizations. They're like, I've hired a D&I manager. There was an explosion of open D&I roles in the last 18 months. Where are all these people that have that training? They don't exist right now. They need to be trained into it or be really passionate about it and be brought over. But you need to start to speak transparently and hold your organization accountable so that you will reflect the communities that you serve. And then lastly is this commitment towards lifelong learning. That is what diversity and inclusion is. We keep learning. You never stop learning. And if you think of the term ally and allyship, you as a woman want to ask your male supporters to move with allyship. That means they have actions. An ally could be someone that did something in the past but might not be practicing now. You want to pair with someone who's willing to be courageous right along with you to help remove those barriers. So implementing something like a sponsorship program into your organization is important. At Randstad, we're starting that at the end of Q4. All of the executives will sponsor one person in the organization from a marginalized community. So we have to start to see the private businesses step up to support women.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Carolyn. What about yourself, Maria? Why is it so important for men to be invited to the conversation and the role of our male allies?
Well, I think in my life, they always have been. Like, maybe I've had a bit of a different experience, but a man in my life that I've admired, respected, seen as a mentor, anytime I've asked, like Jen mentioned, and said, can you help me out? Would you mind? What advice would you give me? All of them have stepped up. I think we have to kind of be careful, because between the media and society, they keep pushing this narrative that it's us against them. And I think that's very divisive. I think every man has a mother. Most of them have a sister. Lots of them have daughters. Most of them have significant others. They're not our enemy. They really do like to see women succeed. I at least personally know a lot of men in my life that really want to see the women in their life succeed and be successful. helpful and support them. I think part of the question is are we asking for that support? Are we being vulnerable and sharing that we need some help, or we're just trying to push through that ceiling with a hammer? You know, are we saying, hey, how did you get there? Can you give me some advice? Can you mentor me? Can you help me? Can you show me the way? And whether that's a female executive or a male executive, I think once you break through that, it's your responsibility to make that path a little bit easier for those people that are up and coming beneath you. I'm a big believer in equal opportunity, not necessarily equal outcomes, if that's fair to say. As a CEO and somebody who's been doing the role of a CEO for many, many years, I know the amount of stress and frustration and lack of family time and sacrifices that I have to make in this role. I'm not necessarily convinced that that's for everyone, male or female. You know, I think it's really important to not just always kind of push everyone to the same outcome. I know plenty of people that have small businesses that they're super happy and they have this, what you talked about, life balance. And if, you know, we've had this conversation, they're like, I would never want your job ever, you know? And so I think we have to, you know, I really like what Teresa said, like find out what you want. Make sure it's right for you, that you're not trying to compare yourself or strive after something that somebody else has, but it's actually what you want. And then ask for help, like Jen said, ask for help. I think it's super important to get the men involved, to get their help, support, mentorship, guidance. You know, and I think that most of them will do it if they're asked, if they're genuinely, you know, brought into that conversation with respect and asked to be supportive. I've never had anyone say no to me. And I'm sure that's not everyone's story. I get that. I'm sure there's plenty of women that have maybe had a door closed in their face. But it doesn't mean that you know, that there isn't 50 more that are ready to be open. Don't stop with that one rejection or that one no. Move on to somebody else who is willing to be supportive and helpful. You know, like I said, I mean, I feel a little bit bad answering the question because, you know, the reason I would accredit my success is to my dad, who was super supportive of me all my life, my husband, who constantly pushes me to do great things and never kind of gets in my way or, you know, gets discouraged, you know, my brother, who's my business partner, who champions me in all things. And, you know, we've had some really great lawyers and accountants when I was just a teenager that were helping me formulate these ideas of what I wanted to do. And they were all men. I did not have 20 years ago a lot of female mentors that I knew at the time that I could go and get help and support from. You know, these were all guys that came alongside me to really help me achieve my goals. So, you know, sometimes I think they get a little bit of a bad rep for not getting involved or not helping, but I feel like, you know, men in my life are problem solvers. If you tell them there's a problem and you ask them to solve it, like they're stumbling over their feet to help you with it. But if they don't know that there's a problem, they just don't know. You know, and I think that's what you were saying, Carolyn. It's just, you know, I think they need to understand that there is a problem and that we want more help and support, but we got to be more vocal about how we want that and what we want. And that's part of the issue that I see a lot of the time.
Yes. I just love this conversation. There's so many positive things that are being brought to the table, and it's about bringing awareness to it. And I know, Teresa, you and I have talked about, you know, allyship in the past. So you've had supporters in your world, of course, but you've also had the ones that kind of say, I'm going to get out of your way so you can drive, you know, and there's that support there as well. So maybe, Teresa, you know, I'll ask you, why is it so important to have those male allyship to either push us or support us?
I think everybody's covered it. I think it's really important. You need support, male and female. And I find that sometimes I struggle more with females trying to push me down as opposed to elevate me, you know, so that's really, really important too. You know, my industry is very male dominated and very European, so very machoism kind of thing. So it was hard. It was really, really hard. I can't say that I had a lot of allies at all. They were kind of watching me, stepping back, you know, watching to see if I could fail. And if I came up with something, they do everything to make me wrong, for lack of a better word. So again, I just had to get clear about what I wanted and then to have those tough conversations. It was like, hey, I'm here. I'm the president of this company. And we're going to move forward. I'm going to be here 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You I don't know about. So you have to decide whether you want to be with me or you don't want to be with me. And just make it really clear, right? And then some left. And that's okay, right? Because I mean, I need people to support me. So if you don't like the vision of my vision or where I'm going, then this isn't the right job for you. There's something bigger, better for you. So just having those clear conversations.
Powerful, Teresa. I got to say that, I love hearing that. I mean, women have to use their voice and claim their worth. We talk about worth. We talk about the importance of asking for what you want, but it's also about setting that expectation that, I'm going to be doing this, whether you're here or not. I'm driving that change. And so that's such a powerful way and a good reminder for all women. So we're just sort of coming up. I think that we could probably have 3 or 4 days at a panel, but you are all remarkable women driving change. I'm going to leave with what words of advice would you give for future women to sort of, drive change in their industry, ask for what they want, celebrate their successes. What advice, Jenn, do you find would be most helpful to our future leaders?
The one that's coming to mind for me is let go of perfection. I graduated from college with a 3.98 GPA out of 4. And I didn't learn more because of that. I made incredible sacrifices to have flawless grades, and it was not worth it. I didn't learn more. I didn't become better. I was just hard on myself. And if there's one piece of advice I have, it's to let go of perfection, because at the end of all that education, I had the same opportunity as everyone else in my class, and nobody else cared but me. And if I could go back and do it again, I would spend more time with my family, more time with my friends, and certainly more time on myself, and a lot more self-care and being kinder to myself. So that's what I want to leave everyone with.
Beautiful. Carolyn, how about yourself?
I would say to stay authentic. Don't try to show up to practice someone else's way of doing things. The world needs to see the beautiful person that you are, but you are the one that holds the key to allow that to happen. So try to show up as your real self, work in an environment and surround yourself in an environment where you can feel empowered to be your best self. Because if you are your best self, then the world is going to change, and we're all going to be living in a better place. So I think do that. The other aspect of it is really remind yourself about mindfulness. That power, that is so powerful in business now, right? Just taking a couple minutes before you start a meeting and do a couple breathing exercises and just, bring yourself in so that you're actually able to show up. Because everyone has these running agendas happening before they get into work or they're doing something else. Everyone struggles to leave it at the door. It's coming with you like a backpack basically the whole time. So just reminding yourselves for those little moments. It's not froofy is my message, right? It's really important, and you'll show up much more grounded and feel much more satisfied with what you're doing.
Beautiful. Thank you, Carolyn. How about yourself, Maria?
I think you talked about it a little bit earlier in the conversation about this whole idea of work-life balance. I really hate the word balance in a work-life scenario, because I feel like it's really hard to achieve, and once you've achieved it, it's really hard to sustain. In my mind, when I think of balance, I think about a tightrope walker or a juggler. It's not an ideal way to live. For me, I focus on harmony. So my idea of harmony is going to be different than all of yours and everyone else is watching. And my idea of harmony might be 80% work and 20% personal, or the reverse, right? And so I think it's about harmony in your marriage, in your relationships, with your family, at work, and what that looks like for you, rather than trying to achieve this unattainable, very hard to maintain kind of idea of this combination of work-life balance.
Beautiful. Teresa, last words of wisdom.
So I used to always tell people to follow their passion. And then I realized that not everybody has a passion. Like, you go through it and they don't have passion. So people would come to me and say, well, I don't have a passion. So what am I going to do? And then I thought about that. I thought, you know what? Not everybody does have a passion. And so I thought, well, what I tell people is just be aware. Just be really aware as you go through day and day, and see if there's something that you go, oh, that was kind of fun. I wish I could do more of that. Or, oh, I didn't like that, so I don't want to do that. Just be really aware of what you're doing and the things that bring you joy, and then see how you can do more of it, and then it'll come. I used to always also tell people to do what you love and then the money comes. Well, that's not true either. You know, you do what you love and you have to work really hard. It doesn't just come. You have to work really, really hard. So it's a little bit of all those things.
Well, I really am so grateful for all of you sharing your words of wisdom and your leadership journeys with us. And there's way more to each of you in your stories that I'm super excited to share. It's such a beautiful way to learn someone's career path, right? You know, find out what your passion is. Learn from the other leaders around you. And, you know, there is so much support for you. And like I think you said, Carolyn, there's 100 women here. We're all singing from the same song sheet. And like you said, Teresa, not all the time is it where you're in a network of women that truly believe in wanting women to rise. But I think that we have that. So I'm super, super excited for the journey ahead. Again, when the world stopped, women kept going. And I think this is the decade for women to drive change. So thank you very much, ladies, for joining us. And I look forward to the journey ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to
Thanks,
see you,
Monica.
Maria.
Yeah, nice to
Thanks,
see you.
Monica.
Wow.